Greetings from Snake Mountain Boat Works on Friday, September 20, 2019. It's the twilight of summer, friends. There's frost in the mountains in Vermont, and we've made great progress on the 1958 Penn Yan Sea Linter. As you can see, she's upside down, bereft of any paint whatsoever. Generally, until we get to the transom, we've got pretty much nothing but good news, but Joe wants to talk about a few items in the keel where a bad trailer has damaged the keel. As a fair warning to people, please use decent trailers under your boats. Go ahead, Joe.
And not only on the keel where there's some, really bad divot marks and hogs out on it, but the bunks that were on it, they actually scarred some of the wood going down towards the aft of the boat on both sides, and they're in the same spot. We can
fill that with the 3M.
Yeah, the 3M premium filler will be able to fill that with.
Yeah.
But for the keel, with them being divoted down so much, what my plan is I'm going to take out, everywhere probably 1.5 inches on each side of each divot, and we're going to do a triangle wedge Dutchman. That way it's still going to have plenty of strength, and of course with pressure going down, we all know the triangle is the strongest shape out there. So the bottom is actually in really good shape. We went through a lot of these nails just over time, backed out quite a bit, and there was a lot of flex. You could push down on the whole bottom, and there's a lot of springiness. So we went through down every single rib and batten, and we had one guy on the inside making sure that the nails weren't clinch nails. And we just tapped them down just so that when we sanded it, we weren't going to sand the heads off of any of them.
Now, we do have some that will have, like those three right in front of your fingers.
Yes.
Those will get faired, right?
Yeah, those are all going to get faired, correct. But we have not only that one, there is 2 other ones besides that one. That one being the worst. These 2 really aren't too bad, and I'll do the same thing on those, just make Dutchmans on those.
So please, when you set your beautiful wooden boat on that rusty old trailer, be very cognizant of where the weight is actually being carried. It's pretty clear in this case there were 3 steel, I would guess, cross members in the trailer that actually carried the weight of the boat. And over the years, it's pretty tough to compress white oak, but over the years that trailer did it.
And as for the rest of the boat, the boat is in really sound shape. The only negative bad news we had was the transom. Right here, the main plank that went across was rotted all the way through. You could take your finger and poke pretty much all the way through that piece of the wood. And then, luckily too, our transom braces are in really, really good, salvageable, decent shape. We're gonna, get them all sanded up, make them look nice, and get more. We'll probably do a natural stain on them, being white oak, and then we'll put tons of varnish on it. But the inside braces here on each side both need to be replaced. There's just nothing we can do to save that. It's pretty pokey all the way down through it.
Let me jump in here, Joe, with sort of a general comment. People continually ask me, please give me an exact price of what it's going to cost to preserve my boat. I don't want guesses, I want the real number. Well, this is why giving you a real number is absolutely impossible. Viewed from the build side, these braces, that one, and you can see this one's even worse once we had everything apart. On the interior side, both of these things look great. So if some poor restorer was giving you that exact estimate and had looked at these, you can even tap these from the other side and they feel solid. But once we got the transom plank off, it's pretty clear that if we were to put this boat back together with these braces the way we are, in very short order, the transom of this boat would be rocking and rolling, and we'd have to do it all over again.
And luckily the top of the transom, you know, just beautiful. It's still in really good shape. The only problem is, and it's going to be really tricky, is as we've seen before, all of these grooves are tongue and spline, which is really, really, really hard to remake. So it's going to take a few tries to get it. But we want to do the same thing on this one. Where on the last transom we replaced the entire, all the planks, and we were able to do a tongue and groove. In this case, we will not. We're going to have to remake that factory groove.
So will take a router and run a plunge router? And
it'll be a plunge router, and with a table saw we'll be able to do it. But for the spline itself, it'll all have to be done with a router.
so what you're telling me is the top transom plank's going to be released as well to do all of this?
We're going to have to end up, to replace that, we're going to have to take the top transom plank out to be able to make sure it's going to fit the way it needs to fit.
And other than this very tired transom plank, what else have we got here?
These two are the bottom braces that go along the bottom of the boat. They actually fit in there just like that. As you can see, one end is completely rotted off, and these ones they're really not in that great a shape. You know, just rotting around the whole bottom. This one, on the other hand, it looks to be in good shape by the eye. But we're probably going to end up having to replace it, but we're not 100% sure yet. Once we start putting it back together, we're going to be able to see if we're going to be able to save this or not. I'd like to save it because this piece right here it's visually striking when you see it from the inside of the bilge. And I'd like to save that along with the braces, so that way you're still getting the factory look from the boat.
Well, thank you, Joe. We've applied the first 2 coats of clear penetrate, 3 coats. So the bottom has received 3 full coats of clear penetrating epoxy sealer. And yes, that's Smith's, the only brand we will use. And the next step will be to take out the pneumatic caulking gun and the total boat Thixoflex and start caulking the seams in the strip tight below the waterline, but not until after, I think, what was it say? What were you saying you were going to do?
So on these strip tight boats, with the last boat we did, just to save the time and the amount of what we used, a lot of the time we'll be running the Thixoflex along the seam, pressing it down with a putty knife. You know, that works great, but until you have to sand it, so when you're sanding all the residue off, you'll get pieces that just pop up. So I'm going to take this tiny little reef hook through each and every seam and just run it down through, just to give a little bit of a void for the Thixoflex for it to actually penetrate and not give us the problem. So in that time, it will give us a little bit more time for the bottom, but in the end, it's going to save a lot of time when it comes to sanding.
So that's where we are on Friday, September 20, 2019. We'll keep working, pretty much focused right now on the 1958 Penn Yan Sea Linter. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now from Snake Mountain Boat Works.